Hi guys, here is my final recording for the final project on your social issue, the concept map and paper, and tying it all together and giving you some tips or tricks of the trade in terms of what I'll be looking at for your submission. So I'm going to, from the very beginning, first page all the way to the last page, go over the final project guidelines and rubric. So make sure that you really look at and read and familiarize yourself with this document. You will see here that you probably are very familiar with this language, right, to describe the actual project itself. But again, refamiliarize yourself with this language. And I also wanted to point your attention to the course outcomes. We never talked about this before, but there are 4 course outcomes in this course. And the course outcomes are really important because the way we design our courses here at Southern New Hampshire University is we really design our courses so that at the end of the course you are able to demonstrate competency in the course outcomes, right? So the course outcomes are represented in the final project, working with a subject matter expert when we design these courses. So by the end of the course, you should be able to explain cultural beliefs and biases using a sociological lens, explain the influences that shape the creation of rules within society utilizing real-world examples, draw basic connections between social inequalities and human behavior, and identify the relationship between social change and contemporary social problems through the application of basic sociological concepts. So these are 4 pretty big statements that you should be able to do, 4 competencies that you should be able to demonstrate to me through your final project or at the end of the course. The second page of this is also, I wanted to point your attention to this language. Again, really, I'm not going to read it, but again, really familiarizing yourself with the project in terms of what we are looking for or what I am looking for when I grade. So just re-familiarize yourself with the language overall. Then the concept map is here. You will see that this is just the example that was given to you in milestone 2. We'll talk a little bit about that, but it gives you an example of concept map. Now here's the full prompt, what we call the prompt in the final project. You will see that number 1, topic selection, is milestone 1. 2 is milestone 2. And 3 is actually milestone 3. So you already did this in chunks, right? In the form of milestones. And so it is really your job to take these 3 milestones, incorporate the feedback that I provided, and make it one cohesive paper. So make sure that they're not really separate or disjointed milestones in your final submission, but make sure that it sort of all makes sense and it all flows, and then it kind of comes together in the end. So the really cool thing is that you already did the work in the milestones. You did the research in the milestones. It's just a matter of incorporating the feedback that I provided throughout and then making sure it's one cohesive paper. And then I would point your attention to this language, the final project submission. It says it should reflect the incorporation of feedback gained throughout the course and for milestone 1 through 3. So I really tried to give you comprehensive and meaningful, deliberate feedback on your milestones for this very reason. You can find this feedback either in the embedded rubric or in the actual submission itself. You'll see that I commented out on some of that stuff as well. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. But you want to make sure you incorporate the feedback moving forward. And then finally, I always end with talking about that final project rubric, right? But the cool thing, or what's different here, is that this is different for us. Exemplary, this proficiency in the rubric is different. Usually you've seen proficient, needs improvement, not evident. You've seen that in your milestones, and you've seen that I think in your actual discussion boards. But exemplary is different. So let's talk about what that means. So let's again start at proficient, where you identify and summarize the social issues citing sources. This is topic selection. And then move to the left, meets proficient criteria and expertly balances brevity with necessary details. Okay, so what exemplary is that you met proficient and you went above and beyond. So these are the two columns in the rubric that you really want to pay attention to. And the needs improvement is, we've talked about this before, you might identify and summarize the social issue, but you do not cite the resources, which was called for in the proficiency level, or the summary has gaps in detail or accuracy. So really it's that you did it or you made the attempt, but there are some gaps or there are some issues with the actual submission, and then not evident is it's just not there. So I really want you to pay attention to that proficient column, and then move over to the left an exemplary column. So say, this is what I need to do to be proficient in this particular critical element, and this is what I need to do to go above and beyond proficiency in this particular critical element where I could potentially meet exemplary. Here's the rest of the rubric. Again, pay attention to that proficient and exemplary column in the rubric. And then I also wanted to call your attention to the second to the last critical element in that final project rubric, and that is creating connections, social change. So a lot of you actually missed this piece in your milestone 3, or you either missed it or it wasn't really fully fleshed out, or it wasn't fully pulled together. So I really want you to think about, now that we're in module 7 where the topic is social change, I want you to really think about what this means in terms of your issue. So you read about this in your chapter, you wrote about this in your discussion board on Module 7. So now I want you to sit back and think about, what does this mean for your social issue, the issue that you've been researching all along? What sorts of things should you think need to happen in this with this particular issue as far as initiating social change? So I just wanted to kind of call attention to that because I saw a little bit of issues in your milestone 3s. Organizing your thoughts in your paper. So this was in my last video for your milestone 3, and I just thought I would highlight it again. So this is how I sort of envision it or logically see it. Obviously you don't have to follow this format. Do it however you think you need to organize your thoughts in your social issue. But perhaps in the beginning you might want to start with cultural beliefs and biases, and really talking about what people or society in general think about your issue, those misconceptions or those myths, followed by the existing social conditions that most likely will dispel those cultural beliefs and biases or those myths that are attached to it, right? So like in the beginning, you talk about, this is what people think about the issue, there's common misconceptions on X, Y, and Z, but this is really what's happening. This is what's happening in society. This is the existing social condition. You want to then talk about the social rules that are attached to that social issue, followed by the social inequalities or lack of services. So overall, that is really kind of where you want to go. And then in the end, you might want to then talk about social change and wrap it all up. So good luck to you all. Let me know if you have any questions. I am around should you need anything. Good luck, everybody. Take care.